Please po, alamin niyo po ang mga normal values. Down to your heart, down to your core. Hello, we are back to another how-to video. And this one is for my fellow Filipinos, the ones who are working hard right now or aspiring to be an RN. Yes, we have a table today because some of you guys may be studying for this exam right now while watching this video, and I just want to get into the vibe of all of that. Let's get into it. I'm actually going to take this off because there's kind of a glare, but a little background about me. I am a Philippine nursing graduate from 2019. We were the second to the last batch to do the PNLE before everything went downhill, and I did do a review center with my classmates. Some of you guys may do self-review, so I'll try to be inclusive of that with my tips and strategies. I'm also very proud to say that we had a 100% passing rate, and there were only like 14 of us, so 14 out of 14 passed. So shout out to my class. I'll also try to speak in the Tagalog language, so bear with me. I'm not that fluent in speaking, but I can speak it, you know? I'm a Filipino, baby. 3, 2, 1, let's try it. Hello po sa mga kababayan ko dyan. Kamusta na po kayo dyan? Back to the subject at hand. The PNLE consists of 5 NPs, and each NP is 100 questions. That's basically 500 questions that you have to answer. It is done in 2 days' time. I don't know how it's gonna be with COVID right now, so maybe check on the websites for that. I'll try to link some websites down below. Usually the first NP is community health nursing. The second one is maternity or maternal and child nursing, or OB. Third and fourth are med-surg for sure, so like more of the adult health stuff. And the fifth one is psych, where all the therapeutic communication comes to play, and maybe like some of the Palmer stuff. Yung mga Palmer po, yung mga leadership and management stuff is gonna be incorporated throughout the NPs. Okay, wala na pong padalos-dalos. Let's go to the study tips. Yes, I have a código here. First and foremost, before you start doing anything, determine the type of learner you are. Don't skip the step, because this is the most important one. You have to learn how you best take in or absorb information first, because it's very important to study in the most efficient way, because there's a lot to cover in the PNLE, let me tell you that. If you're an audio learner, that means you learn best whenever you're listening to lectures or audio lectures, or maybe even in your Zoom classroom calls. You absorb the information better just by listening. If you're a visual learner, this is what I am. You absorb information better with images, or if there's like a diagram, or if you have to draw stuff out. You need the picture. You need the big literal picture of things. The read and write learner is learning best whenever you read something like off of literature or a book, or you write something so many times, like taking notes all the time. My next tip is to study your weakest subject first. Unahin niyo po yung mga topics na pinakamahirap sa'yo, or yung parang kung saan kang nahihirapan the most. Study those topics where you know that that's not your forte, where you do not the best in. If you start with those subjects first, you can actually gain a little bit of momentum to study the easier subjects later on. Yung next po ay napaka-importante. Period. It doesn't matter if you're an audio, visual, or read and write learner, but you have to take notes, girl. You have to take them notes down and highlight them and organize them. Kasi po napaka-broad ng nursing, na ang daming systems or terms na kailangan mong i-memorize talaga, kasi kapag hindi mo na-memorize yan, minus 1 point po. That 1 point could make or break your passing potential. I have my notes right here. This is actually my notes for my NCLEX review, which I also made a video on. So after you pass the PNLE, which I know you will, and you want to take the NCLEX, you can go to this video. It's very updated. But anyway, notebook tour. It's his notes. It's just stickers. I just put that there because it was very plain, so I needed to like jazz it up a little. It says, work hard, play hard, because period. I have my drawings, my highlighting, the labels, another drawing. If you're not a notebook person, you can also write it on like bond paper. I organize them per system. I find that it works best for me, that type of organization, because I like to study per system and it's better for my memorization. You don't have to do what I'm doing. You do what's best for you, as long as you take them notes. Not only take them, but read them and highlight them and really try to absorb those notes. There's so many topics in the PNLE that it's better to just keep them organized where you can find them right away, and if you need reference for when you're answering your questions, you can have them right there. Next study tip is to memorize, 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 and memorize. I learned this advice from a high school teacher I had back then. He said that in order to memorize something, you have to repeat it or write it down at least 7 times. If ever you're having trouble memorizing stuff, try to read them at least 7 times over and over. Even if you don't really get it by then, at least it's in your subconscious. 7 times. It's really important to get those objective questions right in the exam because they're basically bonus questions. For example, if the question is what is the normal value of sodium, girl, boy, you need to know what the answer is. I hope you know what the answer is because that is like a bonus question. So please po, alamin niyo po ang mga normal values down to your heart, down to your core. One way to help you with this too is to write them all down in a big paper. Yung ginawa po namin ng mga classmates ko, is that we wrote down the stuff in a big manila paper or like a poster paper, and we put it on the walls of our studying area or our room so that we always see it. So like every time you get up in the morning, you see those normal values and you just read them and absorb them, and subconsciously you're repeating them to yourself more than 7 times already. Ang next po ay study with rationale. If you're studying with a review center and if they give you those question banks, try to answer those questions with the rationales. For example, I'm gonna go through 1 through 10. So every time I study question number 1, I would know the answer and look to the rationale afterwards. Like I would study right away why that was the correct answer or why the other answers were wrong. Active studying is very important. So if you're just answering questions and not really knowing the reasons why they were the correct answers, then you're just like passively going through them and not really trying to absorb the information or trying to understand the reason behind them. Next one is something I really struggled with as well, and that is time management. Kailan ka mag-exam? June? November? This year? Do you think you have the luxury of time? Basically, what I'm trying to say, don't make time your enemy. Try to make it your bestie. You know, hey bestie. If you need to study this one topic that you really struggle on, make time. But also it's very important to take breaks in between. Don't be studying 24 hours a day. Also, like I said, I did struggle with this too, because it's easy to say, but it's not that easy to manage your time, especially with everything going on and with so many topics being discussed and just crammed in your brain per day. But as much as possible, try to rest your brain. Make a specific time frame when you're studying for a topic. For example, studying for NP1, community health nursing, I'll study for an hour, and then you're gonna move on to med search. I'll study for another hour and 30 minutes maybe, and take 5 to 10 minute breaks in between because your brain needs to rest too, and you cannot absorb information well if your brain is tired and if it's hungry, because you know our brain consumes glucose. Try to keep your brain active and alert and healthy. It kind of helps if you think na parang sasaba ka sa gera sa PNLE. So, di ba dapat ready ka? Dapat ready ka, sis. You know, ready for that. So now we'll move on to the test taking strategies. Di ba umupo ka na dyan? Nilagay mo na yung pangalan mo at yung lahat-lahat ng impormasyon tungkol sa'yo. That sounded like a rap. She got bars. Oras na para sumabak sa gera. Friend, bago mong sagutin yung unang tanong or yung lahat ng tanong, pakibasa po ng buong tanong. Basically, before you answer every question, read the whole situation first. And try to read all the choices first before answering. Even if you know the answer to the question already, try to read all the choices first, because you don't know if there's a better choice. If you can, use your pencil, mark down those words that are really important, the keywords, try to circle them or like underline stuff. You can write stuff on your test paper, but you can't put a mark on your answer key. Write as many marks as you can on that test paper. Use it to your advantage. Next is process of elimination. This is probably very common to you guys. You know that the PNLE is all multiple choice. So the key is to increase your percentage or your chances to getting that right answer. After you've read the whole question and all of the choices, and you know this one item is not right or is not even a choice in the first place, don't even try to consider that. Just cross it off your test paper and you're left with 3 choices, and that increases your chances of getting that question right. Even great if you have like 2 items that you can cross off, then it's like a 50-50 thing. So yeah. Next is umbrella effect. Because you know naman po in nursing, there is no wrong answer, only the best answer. They all are right answers, but you just have to choose the best one. Sometimes there's 4 right answers and you just have to choose the best one. And sometimes there's that one answer that actually reflects all of the other 3 answers. For example, I encountered this one question which was about safety, and the question went something like this: when transferring a patient from a bed to a wheelchair, what do you consider? And the choices were something like this: raise the foot plate of the wheelchair, make sure the brakes of the wheelchair are on lock, and something about body mechanics, like the proper body mechanics. And the last one is to promote safety. And all these 4 choices were right. And I was like, so I couldn't do the process of elimination. I read the choices one more time. And so I thought, if you choose promote safety, then that encompasses all 3. Basically, it's like an umbrella for all 3. That's how I can simplify explaining what the umbrella effect is. Since we're in the topic of safety, usually with the PNLE, safety is always the answer, or safety is the priority. If you ever come across questions that have answers that are about patient safety, then that's probably the correct answer most of the time, but not all the time. Still read the question and the answers. The next one, and we're losing light again because the sun has set, but the next one is that assessment always comes first. And I think from freshman year until senior year, we were taught that assessment is always the first thing that we're supposed to do. And so please go by that principle whenever you're answering questions in the PNLE, because most of the time, like 80% or 90% even, the answer is to always assess the patient first, or the best answer is to always have your assessment. The next one is your ABCs. Most of you, or all of you, should be familiar with this. It's your airway, breathing, and circulation prioritization. So when you're answering that question, always assess the airway first. And that's even a bonus because you have the word assess there, so you're gonna do your assessment first. So assess first, airway first, and you're good to go. Finally, the last test taking strategy is to trust your instincts. Friend, magtiwala ka sa sarili mo. If your gut is saying that A is the answer, then go for A. Stop trying to change your answers, because most of the time, if you change your answers, the previous answer that you chose is usually the right one, and you end up regretting that. Tell me you haven't experienced that. It's better to stick to your gut and get the question wrong, because we don't always get it right, rather than changing your answer and losing a point because your first answer was actually the correct one and you just went against your instinct. Trust your instincts. Usually your instincts are always right, and there's a reason why you feel that that is the answer, because it's probably like subconsciously in your brain, the information is there. Sometimes it's just the stress or the anxiety that is holding you back from being 100% sure. Trust yourself, believe in yourself. I believe that you can do it. I believe that you can pass. I really enjoyed doing this video, so maybe I'll do a part 2. I still haven't covered a lot of stuff, like how to deal with anxiety, and maybe if you're superstitious, I wanna discuss that too because I did some of those superstitions too. Comment down below if you want me to do like a part 2. I'll probably do it anyway, but show some love in the comments. Kapag may natutunan ka po sa video na to, or kahit wala pa dyan, or if you enjoyed me struggling over trying to speak Tagalog, which is really shameful, please click the like button still, follow me on my Instagram, share, subscribe, and stay for a while. Bye! Unahin niyo po yung mga, how do you say topic in Tagalog? Sandali lang po ha. Maraming salamat po!